Now let's talk about the G7 summit, which is going to be conducted this year, beginning in June 15. Um, G7. Look at the screen. It says Pope Francis accept invitation to G7 summit. The first Pope ever to attend. This is the first time that he's going to be attending. Why? In a surprise announcement on April 26, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni said that the Pope Francis had accepted an invitation to participate in the G7 summit in Italy, Apulia region, June 13 to June 15. That's when the event is going to be taking place, the G7 summit. His presence, listen to what it says, his presence bring prestige to our nation and to the entire group of seven. It is the first time that a Pope will participate in the work of the G7, she said. Now, what is the G7 summit? It's a summit in which seven countries, around the world, namely Italy, Canada, Germany, United Kingdom, USA, Japan, France, European nations, many other European nations as well, are included in there. They're going to be participating in the G7 summit. Now, there's a group, there's a video on Facebook that you can search on Earth Sabbath YouTube channel. I'm going to play it for you while talking about the different things that they're going to be discussing at the summit. This is one of the things that they're going to be talking about. One day of rest for everyone. Take a listen.
One of the most significant proposals should be the introduction of a weekly Earth Sabbath to combat climate change and promote environmental stewardship. The weekly Earth Sabbath aims to establish a global day of rest and reflection on environmental sustainability, raising awareness and inspiring collective action. By championing the weekly Earth Sabbath, Italy would position itself as a leader in international diplomacy and environmental sustainability on the global stage. The 2024 G7 Summit and the weekly Earth Sabbath proposal could present a unique opportunity to address pressing global challenges and foster international cooperation. We need protesters in Italy to act now as a voice for a weekly Earth Sabbath.
Friends, let me remind you that this thing we have talked for many years, this thing we have said even when there were less than 100 Adventists, Seventh-day Adventists in the United States, who said Sabbath is going to be the distinguishing mark in the last day. Even around the time of 1848, God showed through Ellen White and told the Adventists that Sabbath, although now today there's only less than 100 Sabbath keepers in the United States, in the near future, Sunday enforcement will become a law that everyone has to keep it, and at that time Sabbath will shine the brightest, and you will be a light for the world. You will be showing this truth to the world. Last day events, page 125, paragraph 1, it says, we have been looking many years for a Sunday law to be enacted in our land, and now that the movement is right upon us, we ask, what are our people doing or going to do in the matter? We should especially seek God for the grace, for grace and power to give his people now. God lives, and we do not believe that the time has fully come when we would have our liberties restricted. Now, this was written in 1888, by the way, around December 11, where she said, this is 40 years after 1888, 1848. This is when Adventism increased, and this is exactly the time when a Sunday law bill was in Congress, where Senator Blair of the United States wanted to put that forward as a law before Parliament, and by God's grace it was revoked. But again, we have been, since the very inception of Adventism, we've talked about this, and friends, you know what? This thing is right upon us. One day of worship for everyone around the world. And you know what that day is going to be? It's not the Sabbath. It's going to be the Sunday. It's going to be the Sunday. Now, talking about the laws that are going to be enacted in Congress, you know, we talk about image of the beast. Image of the beast is church and state uniting. Great controversy says when the leading churches in the United States uniting upon common points of doctrines as are held by them in common shall influence the state to legislate laws and sustain civil institutions, that is when Protestant America will have formed an image to the Roman hierarchy, and then civil penalty will be placed upon dissenters, people who do not go along with the law, and that is the image of the beast. Friends, if you are blessed by it and want to see the whole video, click here. If you want to see another video similar to that, click here. And do not forget to subscribe and click the notification bell to stay updated. God bless you all.